This is a fossil of a man and a woman embracing each other in a kiss, known to the world as the kiss of death. Where did this come from? In the Campania region of Italy, human remains encased in volcanic ash were unearthed. Numerous scientists and archaeologists flocked to the site, eager to unravel the mystery behind these petrified remains. Through historical examination, it was concluded that over 1,000 years ago, during the Roman era, an ancient city called Pompeii once stood here, and here, a natural disaster struck, instilling fear in everyone. Mount Vesuvius erupted unexpectedly, spewing intense lava up to 17 miles into the sky and releasing vast amounts of volcanic ash, destroying this ancient city of Pompeii with its 1,000-year-old culture. None of the inhabitants escaped death, and these living fossils reflect their final moments, frozen in the struggle against death. The movie we're discussing today is Pompeii, an epic disaster film, based on true historical events. It takes you through everything that happened before the impending disaster. The story is set in ancient Rome, where a brutal Roman legion invaded a local village. In a single night, the Romans massacred the entire tribe. At dawn, the protagonist, Milo, emerged from a pile of corpses. He was the only survivor in his village. Milo, who lost both parents, saw the bodies of his people hanging from the trees. This scene left an indelible scar on young Milo. The next day, as he walked through the woods without food, Milo fainted from hunger. Unluckily, he was discovered by passing nobles. Seeing that he was still alive, they took him back to the city of Rome as a prisoner. Time flew by, and 17 years passed. The once young Milo had become a gladiator in the ancient Roman arena. In ancient Rome, gladiatorial combat was merely a spectacle for the amusement of the nobles. The captives were mere playthings for these powerful aristocrats. To survive, Milo had honed powerful combat skills. Even when facing 3 opponents, Milo handled them with ease. With his strength alone, he took down everyone, quickly catching the eye of a Pompeian noble due to his exceptional fighting skills. The noble bought Milo and brought him to the ancient city of Pompeii. On the way back, Princess Cassia's carriage got stuck in a muddy pit. The injured black horse collapsed, neighing in agony. Unable to bear the sight, Milo stepped in to ease the black horse's suffering. Having grown up in a tribe, Milo had extensive experience with taming wild horses. Milo held the horse's head firmly, ending its suffering with a strong motion. This simple act stirred feelings of admiration in the princess. Though rough in his methods, Cassia saw Milo as a compassionate person. At that time, Pompeii was the second largest city in the Roman Empire, economically advanced and culturally vibrant, with a 1,000-year civilization, serving as a cornerstone of human development. Back in the city, Princess Cassia went to visit her beloved white horse immediately. As a foreign princess, Cassia's white horse was her most treasured companion. Afterward, Cassia instructed her attendants to feed and properly train her horse. After Cassia left, the attendant went to the open field as usual to feed the horses. As they neared the foot of the volcano, the white horse refused to graze and instead began circling nervously. This unusual behavior made the attendant feel uneasy, and soon after, something terrifying happened. The lake's surface began to churn and then erupted with force. The frightened horse threw off the attendant and fled the area. In the next moment, the ground beneath began to crack and collapse continuously. With disaster striking, the attendant couldn't escape and fell into a deep abyss. This sudden disturbance was precisely a precursor to the impending volcanic eruption, as if foreshadowing to the world that an even more terrifying catastrophe was about to unfold. Meanwhile, Milo was taken to the underground prison for captives. The prisoners there, learning that Milo was a new gladiator, started picking fights to test his abilities. Despite being outnumbered, Milo single-handedly defeated them all. Even another gladiator in the prison was no match for him. Fortunately, a nobleman arrived just in time to prevent a tragedy where Milo might have killed the gladiator. The next day in the arena, Milo met the strongest gladiator, Atticus, to test their skills. The nobles arranged a match between the two. Relying on his superior abilities, Milo ultimately defeated Atticus, one of the nobles, who looked down on Milo, tried to take advantage of the moment to stab him, but Atticus stepped in and saved him. Back in the prison, Milo asked Atticus why he had helped him. Atticus replied that as a gladiator, he believed Milo didn't deserve to die by the hand of a petty man, but rather in honorable combat in Rome's arena. This shared understanding made them close friends within the prison. At a noble's banquet, Atticus and Milo, the two strongest gladiators, were brought before the aristocrats to showcase their fighting prowess. They stood as statuesque as sculptures, admired by the nobles. Once again, Milo saw the princess, and as they exchanged glances, Cassia shyly lowered her head. Moments later, however, she was led away by a nobleman. This man, Lord Corvus, had come to Pompeii with the intention of marrying the princess. He promised her a life of endless wealth and luxury if she would wed him, but Cassia refused, as she did not love Corvus. At that moment, a sudden, violent tremor shook the ground beneath them. It was a tremor from nearby Mount Vesuvius, but everyone was used to such occurrences. Meanwhile, the white horse in the stable was behaving erratically, becoming unstable and kicking away one attendant after another. Cassia sought out Milo, knowing only he could calm the royal horse. Using his sharp instincts, Milo managed to soothe the horse's agitation. Cassia came close to Milo, and the distance between them grew even closer. At this moment, Milo had a bold idea. He would ride the horse and take the princess away with him to escape together. But soon they were pursued by cavalry. Despite Milo's efforts, he was overwhelmed by the sheer number of pursuers and couldn't escape the noble's capture. Upon his return, Milo faced a grave punishment, originally set for execution. However, due to Cassia's pleas, his sentence was reduced, ultimately resulting in 15 lashes. Despite his strength, Milo found the lashes nearly unbearable. Afterward, Princess Cassia realized that, somewhere along the way, she had begun to fall for this captive whom the nobles saw as inferior. Back in his cell after the punishment, Milo spoke with Atticus, who told him that the next day would be his final fight, after which the Romans had promised him freedom. Milo, however, didn't trust the Romans, as his people and parents had been slaughtered by them. The next day, just as Milo expected, the cunning Romans had no intention of sparing Atticus. What was supposed to be a one-on-one duel became an all-out brawl, with all the gladiators chained to stone pillars behind them. The Romans intended to kill them, pitting them against a battalion of trained Roman cavalry. In the next moment, countless spears were hurled at them by the cavalry. Several gladiators grabbed shields to block the onslaught, launching into fierce combat with the advancing riders. Despite their best efforts, the gladiators struggled against the overwhelming numbers. And soon, only Atticus and Milo remained standing. From the stands, Cassia watched with anxious concern for Milo's life. Meanwhile, Corvus silently observed, as it became evident that this brutal spectacle was part of his plan. In his relentless pursuit of Cassia, Corvus had resorted to any means necessary. In a critical moment, Milo hurled a spear, striking one of the riders. He then leaped onto a horse and, with the help of a chain lowered by Atticus, defeated the remaining Roman cavalry. Corvus, unable to watch any longer, ordered more troops to enter the arena. A fully armed army began advancing, and at this moment, Atticus saw through Corvus's lies, but it was too late. As archers prepared to fire on Milo and Atticus, Princess Cassia intervened, commanding the soldiers to hold fire and sparing the gladiators' lives. Determined to eliminate Milo, Corvus sent in the arena's strongest gladiator, Bruxus, for a one-on-one fight. Bruxus's sheer strength proved overwhelming for Milo. After several rounds, Milo began to falter, and Bruxus, savoring his dominance, continued to taunt him mercilessly. But just then, the ground shook violently, and the arena began to collapse. Mount Vesuvius was erupting, spewing thick smoke and fiery embers from its peak. As foreshadowed, an unprecedented disaster was about to strike the ancient city of Pompeii. In the midst of the ground collapsing, Milo managed to push Bruxus into a pit below, where slaves were held. Milo activated a lever, freeing them all. Bruxus managed to escape in the chaos, while the jailer was left behind and beaten to death by the enraged slaves who had been imprisoned for so long. Within minutes, the Roman arena became a wasteland. Cassia's parents lay critically injured. The king attempted to kill the unconscious Corvus, but Corvus awoke in time to kill the weakened king, plunging the people into panic as everyone fled to the port, hoping to escape by ship. However, with limited boats, many commoners couldn't board. Only the wealthy and powerful nobles managed to secure places on the ships. Escaping the arena, Milo and Atticus found the dying queen. With her last breath, she told Milo where Cassia was imprisoned at the villa near the volcano. The volcano's lava surged 17 miles into the sky, raining destruction on the ancient city of Pompeii. It was as if an ancient demon had awoken, and people scattered like ants. The destructive power of the eruption obliterated everything in its path. Milo decided to go back for Cassia, parting ways with Atticus, and they agreed to meet at the port. Meanwhile, Cassia crawled out of the ruins, collapsing on the ground. Fortunately, Milo arrived in time to rescue her from unconsciousness, but the danger was far from over. Just as an attendant fetched water for Cassia, another tremor hit, causing the ground to collapse, and the servant perished instantly. Lava poured into the sea, and ships attempting to flee were struck by falling lava, eventually sinking into the vast ocean. An even more terrifying disaster followed as the lava triggered a massive tsunami, wiping out any last hope of escape from Pompeii. Water and fire combined to make survival even more desperate, as chaos consumed the city. Milo and Atticus reunited, realizing that the only way out was to escape by horseback. Milo searched for a horse, while Cassia was overwhelmed with grief upon seeing her parents' lifeless bodies. At that moment, Corvus appeared behind Cassia, capturing her once again. He fled on a chariot, with Milo in pursuit. Atticus stayed behind to hold off the Roman soldiers, confronting Bruxus so Milo could chase after Corvus. With Milo closing in, Corvus pushed his horse to its limits, speeding over falling rocks and crumbling ground. With his last ounce of strength, Atticus managed to kill Bruxus, but he lacked the energy to escape the city. In a crucial moment, Cassia freed herself from the bindings, causing Corvus's chariot to overturn. Milo and Corvus engaged in a final, one-on-one fight, and, in a swift and intense clash, Milo emerged victorious. Cassia seized the opportunity to lock a shackle onto Corvus. Rather than kill him, Milo left him to face the wrath of the gods. Atticus accepted his fate, meeting death as a free man amid the disaster. With the billowing smoke and molten lava, the horse could barely carry the weight of both Milo and Cassia. Milo urged Cassia to escape alone, but Cassia refused to leave the man she loved. In their final moments, they held each other tightly and shared a passionate kiss. In the face of this cataclysm, they courageously faced death together, their love immortalized and remembered for eternity.